What's going on, good people? It's your boy James Harris, founder of a movement called Men to Heal, which focuses on men's overall wellness, their mental health, physical health, and of course, their emotional health. And I'm also the author of a book called Man Just Express Yourself, which is an interactive planner guide for boys and men to better express themselves. I definitely appreciate all my fellows who went out and got this book as a tool. Congratulations on, taking the next step and working on certain issues and things that you want to learn insight about. Salute to my fellow clinicians who got this book and doing interventions or just got it in your lobby as a conversation starter. I definitely appreciate you. And of course, salute to those spouses out there who, doing these interventions with their partner over dinner or date night or just having these engaging conversations. I definitely appreciate it. And praises to those parents who got this book for their young sons. You guys are making a difference. I definitely appreciate that. I like to see the feedback that you're leaving reviews or sending me personal messages or emails. I definitely appreciate it. And if you want a copy of the book, make sure you go to Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, Target, Walmart, pretty much anywhere books are sold. I definitely appreciate you. On my website also is my board game. Yes, I created a board game called Cheesy Dates, which is pretty much for all type of relationships, whether that's your platonic relationships or your intimate relationships. You can have this at your girls' night, your boys' nights, or adult game nights, and especially, of course, couples' nights. That board game comes with 2 card decks. One is a date card deck with multiple different date ideas, and then the other card deck is those tough conversations that you need to have within your relationship. Get you thinking, help you increase communication. And of course, there's some pawn pieces that assist you with moving around the board. I definitely appreciate it. So www.mentoheal.com. And if you're new here, make sure you like, share, subscribe. And if you've been here for a while, definitely appreciate you. We're monetized now. And so since you've been here, or if you're new here, you know that I interview different guests. And the guest that I got coming up now is...
Hey, all right. My name is Deshaun. Everybody call me Buck. I'm a police officer and, community activist. So that's pretty much the long and short of basically what I do.
And that's what we're going to talk about. I got you here, man, because you do a lot of community involvement and you're a police officer. And I know you've seen over the past year plus how the stigma of police in that community have been, colliding. So I just want to get your thoughts on it from the officer standpoint, because we hear the citizen standpoint, whether they got good suggestions or bad suggestions, but of course there's a difference being a black male and a police officer. So I'm not going to ask you who you work for, because I don't want to violate nothing like that, but if you could just tell us how long you've been a police officer, what kind of training you have, do you think it's enough training, do you want more training?
So I've been a police officer. I'm a new police officer. I've been a police officer for 2 years. In other professions, that might be, 2 years is a long time, but as a police officer, everything is changing. Everything is just different. So 2 years is fairly new. And as far as how it's unfortunate the community and the policing is colliding. I know why it's colliding, because me being a new police officer, I still got the civilian perspective and I get the behind the scenes police procedure perspective. So I know why it's colliding, and it's just, if we can put it all in a box, it's a lack of information on both sides. You get a lot of police officers that don't get the community feel, and it's not a detriment to them because they're taking calls, they're doing all this stuff, but you have to kind of try to make time, if you don't know the community, to be immersed in the community.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And what's weird is I recently seen an article with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Channel 8 or something, but it was you helping somebody change a tire.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I seen that you give a lot of footballs and basketballs out to the youth back in where you do your patrols and stuff. What made you want to be different as far as the community involvement and things like that?
Well, I became a police officer, and when I became a police officer, I had a mission in mind. The mission in mind was to make the community better, because if the good people aren't policing the community, then who's policing the community? You know, so it's important to build relationships first with children because they're the most susceptible and receptive to your good graces, to your olive branches, and then also build that same trust with their parents, who are the main people you're going to be getting information from. Those will be the main people who are we make the community safe, but they are the community. So you have to build that bond, and the best way to build bond with kids is through sports. So throwing footballs is just taking a little bit of time to throw a football with a kid will could possibly make their life a whole lot better, because sometimes some of these kids, they don't get enough attention at home, and it's the parents got to work, and bills have to be paid. So I can be that sort of bridge in the middle.
So did you get any pushback from like fellow officers or I guess people within the departments for saying like, hey, don't be too involved with the community, you're supposed to be there to do a job, or how some things can be, hey, don't do so much of that, we have to do XYZ by the book. Like, because for me within the therapy field, I'm like you, like I believe in advocacy, I believe in giving resources, addressing those basic needs and doing it different regardless of what other therapists do or what the book says. No, I want to be amongst the people. I look like you, so I want you to know like it's something different. So did you get any pushback as far as that?
And I'm blessed that my department, they promote that. They want more of that. Whenever, there's pictures or videos circulating of me, they put that on their page, So it's, I've been blessed to be in a position where I can do that and it is promoted.
Cool. How do you feel about like the specialty units and stuff like that as far as responding to like different calls? Do you feel like it should be like let's say your patrol area, like you have a decent grasp on your community, so if Ms. Johnson called, like how to respond to Ms. Johnson.
Yeah.
So like how would you feel though if somebody else from the unit responded and that wasn't the best rapport? Like what happens in that situation?
And like I said, again, I'm blessed that in my department, if there is a problem with the call or a problem with response, not only is it going to get, it's going to get punished. Like if you do something wrong, you'll get punished. Or if there's an opportunity for somebody to change your mind and say, hey, you should have done this better. I think my department does a fairly good job of regulating that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and if I'm there, if I'm close, I'll be able to put my input in at that point, and it'll be received.
So it sounds like your department is like phenomenal, because of course the media has their takes on what's taking place now, and I want to say it was a derogatory statement as far as like the blue wall of silence. Yeah. I guess that's for you guys taking care of each other. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel there should be a blue wall of silence for criminal behavior, right? When you're wherever you are, you form relationships and you want to look out for the best interest of the people that you form those relationships with. And work is no different. Like when you're at your job, you got your best friend, somebody come at your best friend, they came to both of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's and the police department is no different in that sense. But there's an overarching umbrella, which is the law. Like if you're gonna take up for your friend, but especially in my department, if you're breaking the law or if you're tiptoeing on the law, it will be addressed. So it's not so much of peer-to-peer, which there is peer-to-peer checking, but more than likely you'll be checked by your supervisor and your supervisor.
Oh, nice. So it sounds like your department has a good grip on things, not only for officer safety, but as far as community involvement as well.
Yes.
Which is a good thing. So,
but at the same time, I see everything that happens in every other department. Mm-hmm. So just because, and then this is my anecdotal experience within 2 years. So I know there's probably something that I've never come across that's happened in my department. I can't talk about it now because I haven't seen it, but I've seen some of the other stuff that other departments do, some of the stuff that other departments condone, and I don't condone it at all.
That's fair. So if I had to put you on the hot seat and say,
if you were riding with a partner, I don't know if you guys do individual or partner drills or calls, but and I react poorly to the community, like how would you handle those situations?
Oh, I have to step in.
Okay.
And I just have to step in. Like there's, and they also tell us this when we were training in the academy. If a call is getting hot and an officer and the citizen are butting heads, you're supposed to step in, pull them to the side, and you take over. Or if it's two people talking to one person and the person is talking more to one officer and like, oh, F you to the other one, you just gotta fall back. And if you don't fall back, somebody's gonna be like, hey, well, pull your side.
So it sounds like you're saying, like, just keep the peace, keep it, whatever's easier for the citizen. Yeah, no, that makes sense because you are the trained person and this officer, your partner is supposed to be the trained person as well. Yeah. So, no, I get it. That's good.
Ultimately, it's up to us to make sure everybody goes home safely. Mm-hmm. And therein lies, the accountability piece. You're the trained one. You're the one with backup. You're the one with lethal force and less lethal force. So it's up to you to control the situation damn near 100%. Okay. And it's a tough job, but I mean, that's what we signed up for.
True. Over the past maybe 2 to 3 years, the term defund the police has been circulating around. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
And I paid close attention to defund the police. So when they first came about, it was not to take all the money from the police and put it in the community, because we're not at a place yet where the community can police itself. Like the people who want something, they're going to take it. The people who are, ne'er-do-wells, they're gonna do whatever they want. So the plan at first was to look at larger departments who have too much funding. The excess funding is going to the captains, the lieutenants for boats or whatever. They're going to the departments for extra militarized gear that they don't need in their area. Like everybody shouldn't have an M4, you know what I'm saying, in your area. All right, so it's like or you shouldn't have a tank. You know what I'm saying? Because in your specific area, you're never going to use a tank. You're just gonna have extra stuff just to have extra stuff, but you're not putting that money into the training, which is what it's there for. The tactical training, the hand-to-hand combat stuff, just the community. There's also training we get to interface with the community and resources that we have for the community. Like there was an event that one of my fellow officers put on, and he just did a little bit of digging, and he found that there was just money. There was basketball courts. There was floats for the kids. There was a whole bunch of stuff for community that just wasn't touched. So it's like we gotta put those resources on Front Street, and if you have resources that you don't need, we need to pull back. And I ain't mean to cut you off, but the defund the police now has become take all of the money away from the police, which is, I think, an error.
So, I mean, I think I'm in agreement with you. I think defund the police, those words just sound so derogatory. But I think the intention was to reallocate funding, like you're saying. You know what I mean? Like, because there were talks of, like, you definitely don't need a tank and all this militarized gear when you can be servicing or providing you guys with different training or bringing in other resources to assist police officers. Yes. So I think that what they were trying to say, but the message just was poorly constructed. Yeah. Because I know for me personally, I've done trainings with 2 departments as far as CIT, crisis intervention. Yep. So I was fortunate enough to provide them training and receive some like simulations, calls and stuff like that. So it was definitely intense, and I can see how if you're not calm and relaxed, how things can escalate. Yeah. But I definitely do think funding in certain areas should be reallocated. Like you said, like you're not going to use a tank on the street, so take that funding and give it to another department to get more whether it is de-escalation training or different things like that. So I guess it could be reallocated, but the words defunding sound so derogatory.
And I don't know which side, the left or the right, came up with that shock value wording, but it was not the intention at first, and now it's starting to evolve into a whole different beast.
Of course, politics played a part in it and making it grow like it is.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different story. All right, so you face a lot of things out in the community, whether it's trauma, whether it's grief.
Yeah.
You probably see kids in unsafe situations. You probably see adults with issues that are so unbecoming. Like, how do you balance all that?
So, like I said, my mission is to, and people say it's cheesy, cookie cutter answer, but I believe in it wholeheartedly. My mission is to protect and serve. All right, I need to protect the community. I need to serve the community, and if that's giving kids footballs, that's what it is. If it's putting on events, that's what it is. If it's anything, if it's changing the tire when it's like 95 degrees outside in a bulletproof vest on my knees in the dirt, I'm going to do it, because we have to build our community, and if the people in the community aren't building it, nobody else is going to build it. So that's my mission. That's the mission I'm gonna stick to, and I'm gonna form my opinion as a police officer around that mission.
Are you familiar with the history of policing? Like, how did it become a thing?
Yeah.
So I did some digging, man. I was just researching, and the very first police were actually slave catchers.
Yeah.
And
patrols. Yeah.
Slave patrols, they were used to catch slaves from running, and then of course it just manifested to different jurisdictions, cities, states, and stuff like that.
Property.
Basically, and it just continued to grow. So some would argue that they still, a lot of police officers still have that mentality as I'm the overseer, the officer overseer, of doing this job, and you are just a piece of property I have to maintain. Like, what's your views on that?
So I agree, and I agree in the sense of, the racial undertones. I agree with that. I also agree with the tone of authority. Mm-hmm. When you're always the person in authority, when you have the power and it's all the time, you develop this God complex, if I can say that. You develop that. So if you're used to people having to do what you say all the time, the minute somebody doesn't do what you say, you're just like, well, who is this person to be going against what I say? I'm God. I'm gonna get you back in line. Just like with your kids. Your kids, it's your household, it's your rules, and when they try to buck the system, you're just like, oh, I gotta discipline you, put you in your place. Mm-hmm. But then you have to realize that these, you don't have supreme power. There is a law, and these people are adults, and the interaction we're having is not. I like to say this all the time. It's not. We're not playing cowboys and Indians. The consequences that we give out to people, whatever, it has a long-lasting effect, and it is real. So you have to be very considerate, very lenient when you're dealing with people, because this is their life. We go home at night. These people may have to spend the night, the weekend in jail or whatever. So you have to make sure that you're doing everything you can, one, to prevent people from going to jail, two, educating folks, and just, like I said, protecting and serving. You're better served getting a new perspective or getting some information than actually be sitting in jail, have to pay, a whole bunch of fines for something minuscule, if that makes sense.
All right. So if your police or your superintendent, chief, was to see this message, what kind of training would Buck want your department to have?
The training I would like to see more of is more like physical hand-to-hand combat training, because a lot of police officers, they wear many hats. Not only as a police officer at home, they don't have time to, go to a martial arts gym and learn how to grapple, learn how to wrestle. Mm-hmm. So I would like to see more of that in the in-service training that we get periodically. Just like you go to the range, every couple months, you should have to go to some grappling training every couple months. Yeah.
So, do you think that would make a difference as far as like some of the shootings that officers face? Like, if they could, I mean, because I can only imagine it probably is scary to go hands on with somebody if you don't have that training. You know, but you got other weapons, taser. You probably carry OC, got your baton. You know, but if, like, I guess if you could grapple, go hand in hand, that'll probably be another de-escalation. So, I mean, as far as in service, I heard you mention that. Like, what is in service? You guys do different trainings on laws. What else?
Yeah, there's different in services. There's in services on the laws as they change. You know, basically every couple months the laws are changing. So it's basic in service training for laws. It's basic in service training for like driving your vehicle. So we got to do all our maneuvers and speed driving and how to, you know, handle our car properly. There's training for firearms. There's everything that we do in policing. You're just constantly doing training every couple months to make sure taser training, and just make sure that people know like when you can use a taser, because taser can be at some point a piece of deadly force. It can be deadly force just like your gun, so you have to be, you know, trained in everything. You know, but I would just like to see more hand-to-hand combat training, grappling training, because luckily we haven't had those issues. But most of the issues that I see, you know, nationwide stem from a fear of going hands-on, and also probably not even fear, just the unknowing. Like, I don't know if I go hands-on with this person, I'm going to be able to restrain them, because I might not have backup at that point. So I have to make sure that I go home. Or some people, conversely, they just don't like people, and they would rather, you know, use one of their tools than to take them down softly.
I understand that. So it's a dangerous job, man. You out here putting your life on the line. How does your family feel? Like, what mom say when you said, "Yo, I want to be a police officer. I'm gonna stop this job that I'm doing now. Like, I'm going to the academy." Like, what was the response that you got from your loved ones?
Man, I got nothing but love, because I mean, I'm a big dude. Not only am I big, I'm skilled. So, you know, no one's worried about, you know, they're worried about my safety, but they're like, you know, more likely if he goes in a situation, he's gonna be able to handle it. And that's what I would want for all police officers, not just ones in my department, but nationwide. They need the skills, and not only skills, the confidence. Like I think you alluded to that earlier. The confidence to know that I don't have to. And whenever I've been in situations where I had to go hands-on with people, but I've never thought like, oh, should I use my taser first? Should I use my baton, the spray? Should I even pull my gun? It's like, oh, I got this. I'm going to. I can body lock somebody. If somebody's on the ground, they're fidgeting, I know how to position my body weight, so I'm just allowing them to move in a bubble. So there's, you know, like a hole. They're just moving in here, but they can't get out. You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know, that's the confidence that MMA has, you know, brought to policing for me.
Nice. Yeah. So, and for the people who don't know, this is I met Buck. He's actually one of the coaches at the gym I do my Muay Thai and boxing and stuff at.
Shout out to MMA Institute.
Yeah. So definitely an awesome place, man. So I do that for self-care, and of course to stay sharp and just to be where I need to be. How do you? What do you? Some of the things that you do for self-care?
Self-care, same thing, man. Being a fighter has, you know, it secures your mental. If you know you can handle a situation, it secures your mental, and also puts you to a point where you're more like fitness relieves stress. And I think combat sport fitness relieves even more stress, and also builds bigger bonds. When you're able to, you know, punch your best friend in the face, kick him in the face, and then and dap him up straight afterwards. There's no hard feelings. There's like, oh man, I see you got me with this. How can I learn this? That is so much better for your mental health. So much better for stress relief.
How long have you been fighting?
About 7 years.
And you had a couple pro fights as well.
Yep.
Nice. I see that nice shiny belt that's in the gym. So that's good, man.
Belt,
man, how can people get in contact with you?
You can hit me up on Instagram. It's all lowercase Buck_Zulu, and Facebook it's Sean Jackson. The YouTube page is what was that? Team Buck? Hashtag Team Buck. I think that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be sure. I'm gonna be sure to put all your information down at the bottom, man. You got anything else you want the people to take away from your segment, community and policing? How to interact when they face with an officer, anything like that?
Yeah. The best interaction is treat the officer how you want to be treated, and that may not always work, but that's the best way to start. And then talk to some of the police officers that you see ride through your neighborhood. Sometimes, just a small conversation makes everything better. And I will also say to police officers the same thing. Make sure that you get out into your community, you talk to the folks, you make sure that you're showing love because you want love back. Always, like it says, take care of your mental health. And men, black men in particular, sometimes have a hard time reaching out for help because it's seen as weak in some instances. But you have to have your circle around you. You have to have other men around you to hold you up because we're the head, and if sometimes it's heavy. Was it the crown? What's it? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure that you're okay, and you got to lean on your brothers. You got to lean on your family or whatever, and make sure that you're good so you can make sure everybody else is good.
But appreciate you, baby, for coming through. Good information. I'm glad that you were able to, I guess, address some of the issues that people had questions about. Yeah. And I'm sure people hit me up or hit you up directly if they have additional questions. Yeah. I thank you for coming through. Yeah. It was a much needed topic and subject around policing, but being that you are active in the community, I figure, why not verse it too and get you here. So I'm definitely appreciative of you coming on the platform and doing that. So I'm gonna make sure that I put your information in there. Appreciate you.
Yep. And if y'all see me out, say hi. If you got a question, I'll answer it to the best of my ability, man. It's all about sharing the knowledge. And that's, people fear the unknown. And that's why there's such a rift between police officers. Information is king. So we got to start getting to the mode of sharing information. Information that we can share, just sharing information. Communication is key.
Hey, appreciate you checking in. Make sure you guys hit me, mentoheal.com, www.mentoheal.com. Of course, you can get the shirt, you can get the book. The book is also on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Target, Walmart, pretty much anywhere books are sold. Hit me up. I'll catch you guys on the next one.